Okay, folks, we're here. I'm Grushka as always. With me, the special guest, Bodrum, who just kicked my ass.
Hello.
I'm gonna get. It's about. Hang on, let me address the people on OOC. Um, so for those of you tuning in, the stream is going to be about. It depends on your ping and all that, but it's going to be about 15 to 30 seconds or so behind what you're seeing on the game. So if you'd like to watch, I recommend you watch the stream, not Zmud or whatever program you use, because otherwise you're going to be hearing our voice talking about things that are already happened like a tick ago. With that said, we have Hydra versus Sharks, I believe. Is that right?
I think so.
You'd think I would know these things. I should know these things. Yes,
You
we
only
have
have one
Hydra
job.
versus Sharks. No, I have lots of jobs. One job is getting my ass kicked by stars, and then I have to hop on here. I'm still very sad about that,
Oh.
and bring this to you guys. All right, so Hydra versus Sharks. Hydra has the home field advantage, which for those of you that don't know, home field advantage means that after the match or the team lineups are called, the home field gets to take a look at the enemy lineup and swap out one of their own players based on what they see. It's not the end all be all, but it is advantageous. It lets you do a few more interesting compositions, a little bit more risky subs, like guys that you wouldn't normally put in. Myself would be a good example. Tuesday we put in Grush. Normally not. I normally don't go in, but if you see that there's an opening, there's not a lot of casters, you can sub somebody out to specifically counter what the other team is doing.
For example, in the case of our previous match, you will have noticed that we did not use Leighton, but he was actually on our original team makeup.
You should have used Leighton. I thought it would have been fun. You could have just spam charmed me. Been awesome.
That would have been awesome. We did think about it. He just wants us to win, but I'm sure he would have loved to play.
You could have had you'd have fielded Leighton, so you could have had like a 5-on-3. How about that? Those are some good
that would have been
odds.
really good. Yeah. Just summon him into the arena. It'd be cool.
Well, no, not summon him in. You charm me, and then all of a sudden you're a guy up, and we're a guy down.
That's entirely true. You were getting one shot, by the way. It was quite horrifying.
You mean spell-wise?
Yes.
Spells and all that? Yeah. I've done testing. I was blessed up fully, and we also got an offering up for me. But it doesn't matter. Some point over the last few years, Giant Ogres took a major saves nerf beyond their already bad saves, and it doesn't matter anymore. You can wear whatever gear you want. You're gonna save the same. So
well, we got lucky to have Azula in there this time because we had Imbue, which is always fun.
Yeah, Imbue is nasty. That's like the one weakness of Brutes is we don't have any of those high-powered casters. We don't have the Imbue to get the pseudo high-powered casting going on. But otherwise, I'm okay with that.
The teams are up, by the way.
The teams are up. All right, we've got Hydra with Azheri, Reklah, Vyrastai, and Aroc, which, in my opinion, is pretty much their A team. Perrin also as a fit, also one of their A team. Perrin does good work. So those five I would consider to be their top roster. You could sub any of those in really. Card Sharks, we've got Grendel, who surprisingly did very, very well in his premiere appearance. He kind of laid a smackdown. Kuromaru, Merilith, Shawn. Merilith always does good work. She's a veteran. He is a veteran of ACFL. And then, Shawn and Kuromaru are a little newer, but this will be a good chance for them to show off what they've got.
It will be interesting to see Aroc play. I don't know if he played much before, but when we played Hydra, he was not in there, and we think it would have changed a lot of things if he was. So I'm curious how this game ends up playing out. Well, for reference, I bet on Hydra.
Well, yeah. See, I expect Hydra. They've had a rough start, but I still expect them to climb the rankings pretty quickly from here on out. As long as they can sort out their attendance issues, I think they have a very strong lineup, enough to definitely make it to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea who the shot callers are on Hydra?
On Hydra, absolutely, it's going to be Reklah for sure, and probably Azheri as well. But I would imagine, as soon as they picked up Reklah, he would have taken over at least, a 50% role as far as shot calling goes. He should, he's good, and he knows what he's talking about, and he's got the ACFL experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, if they weren't listening to him, I would be surprised and a little let down, because that should be who they pay attention to. I mean, Azheri as well has got the experience, don't get me wrong. But I haven't experienced his, strategizing as much, so I couldn't tell you exactly how much input he has as far as that goes.
Sure. They're still suffering from the whole one alignment thing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem for him. That's one of the great things about my team. We have a false start on Grendel. That's one of the things I love about my team. It's been mostly accidental, but we have really an ideal alignment spread. Stars really has a very good alignment spread as well. And that's one of those things.
It's something we've had a problem with you guys, because you guys have a lot of high damage dealers, and we have no idea what to do.
Yeah, we have a lot of high damage dealers spread out over every alignment, which is very favorable for us. It definitely makes it harder to decide what to protect against, because you're going to have a lot of damage coming at you from every direction.
Mm-hmm. Now, in theory, the good strategy is protect against the people you know that you're not going to kill, and then kill the people you're not protected against.
Exactly. We actually, Reklah and I were casting some replay matches earlier. Those have not made it up to YouTube just yet. But we talked about that a little bit. You usually don't want to protect against the person that you're trying to kill. So Tuesday, in the Brutes vs. Galoglass match, I was doing crazy damage for the first half of the match because they didn't protect against me. They presumably thought they would dispel me and kill me off pretty quick. It just didn't work out for them.
Mm-hmm.
We got 30 seconds. Counting down here. Yeah, I think Hydra's gonna have this. I think it's gonna be the start of a nice rise to the top for them.
I agree, though. I think their team is quite even, so I think it might depend heavily on strategy this time around. The reason I pick Hydra, not only because of the players, but I'll take an Invoker versus a Priest any day in ACFL. So, unless it's Grump, of course.
Unless it's Grump, because Grump is amazing. Holy crap, Medio is fantastic.
But without the Medio, you're just standing around healing things, which Reklah can do, but he can do other things while he does that. So.
Mm-hmm. I definitely have not been complaining since Grump has hit High Priest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, looks like Hydra is targeting Grendel off the bat. They want to get rid of him.
Ooh.
And we'll see if this
already
works.
dispelled.
Yep. They do have the dispel off. Let's see if this works out better for Hydra than it did for Galoglass.
Also, Aroc is in Sanctuary, and he's getting beat hard.
I think that's probably a wise decision, though. You don't want to be AMS'd against a Troll Barbarian.
That's a good point.
All it takes is one or two good rounds, and Aroc could die like instantly.
Oof. Did he get Holy Smited too? Oh, he's having a bad game now.
Yeah, his damage does look low, but I couldn't tell. There's another Dispel on Grendel.
I
Yeah,
didn't see it, but those cones don't look right. He looks like he got Holy Smited, and looks like he's gonna die with a lot of mana too.
yeah, that's not a favorable position. At this point, he probably does need to spam cones. Normally I'm against that strategy in ACFL because you don't have just the one health bar to go through. You have the health bar plus all the healing, and then they come back and you have no mana. So you gotta be very conservative with how you spend it. But if you're about to die,
you don't wanna end up with 80% health and 0 mana, because then no one will kill you and you're just stuck.
exactly. And
I think it's always good at the start of a match because it just creates some chaos and gets people to panic a little bit.
It does help to put them on the other team on the back foot, which is always a good thing. And there goes Aroc.
Yeah, there he goes.
So, early advantage for Sharks. And Grendel is still up. So, like I said, they started out targeting Grendel, and it has not worked out for them.
Yeah, they dispelled him, and he just got away. He knows how to get away. So,
I mean, if you know how to play the large barb, you can be very hard to kill, even with being utter spell bait.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they are taking down Shawn, and he's probably going to die here pretty soon. Ooh, there we go. There's the money dispel right there. But now he's got the shield and the two-hander out, so he's going to be P-swinging. And not only does that mean a lot of damage and a lot of stun, it means he's going to be taking a lot less damage, even if he gets dispelled.
Right, especially because Aroc's out, so there's not really a caster on the other team anymore.
Well, they do have cause fat, so that's the one good thing about the Shadow Knight versus Paladin in ACFL. You have that burst damage after the spell hits.
Well, that is something.
Reklah getting the armor swap out.
I noticed him do that last game too. I think it's interesting that he doesn't start with dragon skins.
Well, he probably starts out in mana gear, if I had to guess.
Right.
And there's more dispels. We got Vyrastai doing the cause fats. Not Screech, interestingly. I suppose Screech has 2 rounds of lag.
I'm not sure. I thought it might have been a round and a half, but I've never experienced this.
I'm not I've never played an aerial myself, and I haven't played a whole lot since they came in. I should know that. I have an aerial on my team, but I don't.
All I know is I hate it. So
it can be frustrating, that's for sure. I know there was an early match this season, Brutes against may have been against it was against Hydra?
I can't remember.
Where we both had an aerial, and it was just everybody on every team was deafened the entire match. It was chaos.
I cannot remember who the other aerial is who's in the league.
There's the
Grendel Wimpy.
Dispels. Yep, Wimpy's coming out. He's getting the dispels, and see, there you go.
There it is.
The burst damage, cause fat. Just trying to get him down, and he does.
Grendel's dead. Shawn lost some amulets because he didn't fireproof. Poor guy.
That's just sloppy. Sloppy.
There's a lot of tension in the prep room. That's how I feel.
Especially, I mean, this week, the first meaningful PK I've had in 2 years, more, and the jitters. You get the jitters when you get trans up. Like,
right.
It's starting. It looks like Hydra has taken
Shawn's
control
going
of the
down
situation again. They've evened up the body count. Looks like they're about to swing it into their favor by taking down Shawn.
And they did a flag pickup.
And they've got the pickup. They think they've got the advantage and they want to press it.
And that's really good because I think Hydra I think has been a very strong team all season, but since they're all either new to ACFL or new with each other, they have been, they're not picking up the flag at the right time. It's always too late. So I think this was a good move because Reklah could have just gone and killed Shawn and then picked up the flag, but he knew he had to get the ball rolling a little bit.
Yeah, you can get in ACFL, you can get trapped in this mindset a little bit of, oh, we got to kill this guy, we got to kill this guy, and they just keep running away, and then next thing you know, the rest of their team is out, and you have done nothing with your advantage.
Right. Like the best case scenario, the moment when us players feel, or us veteran players feel the most comfortable, is when the entire enemy team is up, but they don't want to attack you. That's pretty much your happiest scenario.
Exactly. You got to put the fear into them, and then use that advantage to
and then
force them to come.
They can't come after you. They can't come after you. Yeah. You can capture the flag as much as you want, as long as you can keep them from taking yours.
Yep. And if you force them to come after you, as you're taking the flag, you can kill them off, and then you're already halfway to the capture, and that means you get another pre-capture as well. Ooh, that cone. Looks like that bypassed some saves.
Well, it's a good thing as you can see, there's a huge difference between his cones now and his cones before. So he was holy smited at the start. So absolutely. Him not coning is not really his fault. He wasn't doing what he was supposed to do.
And Azheri gets blinded, but I'm sure Reklah will take care of that soon and immediately. Yeah.
It's sad how much RNG comes into play with the Holy Smite, because, for example, Branzel tried to Holy Smite Kimpaz for our match, it just missed. So it's kind of interesting how, it's really a game changer, so it kind of sucks that it's kind of a 50-50 thing.
Kuromaru looks like he is not protected, or else he's just not got very good saves. I'm not sure which. Well, that one's only a Devastate, so it does look like it's just he's getting cast on a little bit. The cones are passing his saves, getting that spike damage.
If it's staying consistently high, he could just have really bad AC, but that seems like a weird thing for a priest to be suffering from.
Merilith is going to be going down soon, although I don't know. They're working on Kuromaru as well. I'm not sure if I like killing them at this particular point. I might try and keep them alive for a little bit longer.
Especially the priest. As soon as prayer's down, you could just ignore him.
Yeah,
and it takes a while, but, no reason for him to come back with mana and prayer.
Yeah, I definitely don't like spending mana to kill Merilith at this point. If you want to spam Screech on her, sure, go ahead, but cause fat, that seems like an unnecessary waste of mana at this point.
Understood. Yeah, I think I agree.
If you're going to kill her, do it conservatively. Here comes Grendel with a massive init. And he's knocking the crap out of Azheri is what he's doing.
Who's probably one of the, probably has some of the most defenses. I don't know if he's wearing a shield right now. It doesn't look like he was.
No, he's not. He doesn't have a shield, but, he still has 3 defenses on account of Danger Sense, so...
It does look like they're going to kill someone. There's a lot of red health in there.
Yeah, and Grendel's just going to town on whoever he can reach. Merilith does finally go down, and I do think this is the right time to have killed her. Now that Grendel's back in the game, you don't want to leave Merilith alive. Grendel gets dispelled again, though, and Azheri is on him unsanked.
Yep.
Wow. Ooh. Yeah, he's dropping fast. It's kind of a double-edged sword in that, yes, they're doing a lot of damage to him, but now he's in P-Swing range.
Right.
So that's the interesting thing about barbarians. If you try and kill them and you fail, you've really just made them more dangerous.
Right. Well, the problem that Hydra has here is that they can't completely shut down Grendel. Like, all they have are basic Maledicts. He probably has Weaken covered for, and he has 2 clerics with him that could heal anything that gets cast on him. So all they can do is dispel him. So I think their best strategy is what they're probably hoping to do, which is dispel him, kill him, and then deal with him again when he respawns and just do it again really fast.
And you just have to coordinate your damage after the dispels a little bit better, I think. Make sure that your hitter is targeting him. Make sure you have all the pieces in the right place.
And a lot of that is really on Aroc, because he can do his damage without actually hitting him. While with Harry probably has to, or how do you pronounce it?
Azheri.
Azheri has to probably actually be on him to get anything done. So more of those unspeakables is probably what they need.
Would be nice. I mean, nobody ever complained about doing unspeakable damage to the other team.
Did you notice if Kuromaru did any blizzards, firestorms? Because I've been looking at a lot of the.
I didn't notice them. Honestly, I didn't even notice a whole lot of Holy Flame going on. So he may be dropping the ball on a few areas, actually.
I think that's always, as a person who, played a competitive priest per se. Yeah. There's always that. It's always like in the back of your mind that you're not playing your class right if you're not like saving all your mana for healing, and that's really tough to get over, I think, mentally. But I think, like, especially in ACFL, where being a heavy healing character that doesn't have any other benefit, you just have to start the fight really offensively. Throw some blizzards, firestorms, holy flames, obviously. Honestly, I just don't feel like Cure Crit is the best use of mana in ACFL a lot of the time.
Well, I don't know that in this situation I would like, I don't think Kuro should be necessarily throwing out the blizzards and firestorms in this match. There are situations where you do want to do it, if you have to worry about, a swashbuckler flea and hitting you, or, armsmen or assassins that are trying to choke. You do want to get that blizzard off, try and keep them engaged where they can't use their skills, can't, flea and hit properly. In this particular matchup, I don't think they have a lot of follow-up to that blizzard, so I don't know that it's going to do a whole lot of damage.
It wouldn't hurt to have blizzard on Grendel after he's dispelled and fleeing.
Well, right, but that's the other team. Grendel.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, got confused there for a moment.
That's right. I get confused as far as the new players, especially. It's hard to keep them straight. Who's on what team?
Right. No, it's just me being stupid. You don't have to cover for me.
No, see, if I call you stupid, then I have to call myself stupid for the 50 times I've done it myself.
It's tough. I mean, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of new names, and even the vet names. It's been 2.5 years.
Exactly.
That first Brute vs. Stars game, the opener, we were all so bad.
Like, made for an exciting
all
match,
8 players.
And Grendel's getting blinded again. They've and now dispelled, so they really can't seem to make up their mind what they want to do to Grendel here. They blinded him, then they dispelled him, then they weakened him, then they dispelled it. I mean, he's they're kind of just all over the board with it.
If Merilith dies here, I think Reklah's got it in less than 20 seconds afterward, and it looks like he's probably going to die. So I'm calling it for Hydra right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grendel definitely. That's where he goes down. Whoa!
He got dispelled while a troll was on him. That is not a place you want to be.
That is the epitome of getting whacked by a troll.
That's a game changer. If they could save Merilith and find a way to take down Reklah, then they might be able to take a flag at the very least.
Absolutely. I mean, with the way the match has gone, I don't think they're going to win, but they could definitely, at this point, squeeze a few captures out of it.
Right. And
that can mean the difference towards the end of the season when it comes down to determining playoff positions.
Vyrastai's still alive, right? So I think it's just Reklah and him who are up. So it looks like they're not going to be able to kill Merilith. So I think the game will continue. I called the game incorrectly. I apologize.
Yep. And Grendel appears to have been a very, very worthwhile first pick for this season's draft. He has just been monumentally valuable for this team.
He's a very high-risk, high-reward sort of character because there are 2 necromancers in the league, so and neither of them are on his team. and it's just hard to play someone who's that spell bait against a necromancer because there's just a more higher range of spells that you can get cast on. Usually they can handle a weaken. If they can handle a spell, they're fine. But he had a tough time against the necromancers. As did you, so I'm sure you could speak about that firsthand.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think I had more trouble with Kimpaz than I did with you. I think it was the cones that did more damage to me than you did.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of kept
that makes sense.
Blind and out of the away from being able to target me too badly. But you can't stop those cones. They're coming at you regardless.
That is a very good point. The big thing for us is trying to, as far as how we try and use Maledicts, we use them rarely. I hate them, so I try and convince people not to use them. So I guess we don't use it rarely. I just use them rarely. But if it's not one shot, like our last match against Perrin, I refused to cast a thing on him. I tried 3 things. It didn't land. I gave up.
And sharks are on the board.
Yeah.
Now, what I would actually really like to see from them is a suicide. I think Shawn or Kuromaru is pretty much dead, probably tapped out on mana. Might be a good idea to just walk into Grendel and come back refreshed.
Not to talk about, inappropriate behavior, but is it illegal to kill yourself in ACFL?
No, it's that's been a strategy that's been happening since season 1, I think.
Yeah.
I know you used to do it pretty regularly.
Yeah.
A
lot of people this season seem to be saying that it's not okay. I think there might have been some weird suicide drama over the 2 years where ACFL wasn't happening, so I think they're worried that things may have got more strict on it. But my understanding is that it's still legal, and I would like to keep doing it. So.
As far as I'm aware, it should be okay. I would maybe double check. I might have to go digging through a few things just to make sure. But
right.
I know for sure it's been a viable strategy in the past in ACFL, and I can't imagine why that would have changed at all. It's a risk-reward situation,
Right. In this situation, like, if he can't find Grendel, then Kuro should just be, attacking Shawn and letting Shawn kill him.
Did you really do that? And him just... Nice echo. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I saw that.
Something. Oh, was that a global? Was that a global echo?
I think so. Oh, I saw it earlier. I didn't really understand what it is, so I didn't mention it. So I saw it probably a minute before you did. So maybe he's going around doing it in the stands.
Could be. But anyway, Merilith is trying to go for this 3rd capture. They're trying to get the they're trying to end it before Hydra gets out on the field. If they manage to have turned this around, that will be impressive.
It would be really nice if we could see who's still ghosted from the stands.
Absolutely. I think I want to try and get Jormox to write up a script for that, just to keep track of, like, it's a set number of ticks. So after the toast, might be able to keep track of that, at least for the.
I don't know if you saw the movement there. Reklah went straight to the other flag when he came out of the room. Grendel was there waiting for him, clearly spamming for him, because as soon as Reklah walked in the room, Grendel was hitting him. Reklah got a good dispel, so he's clearly trying to pick up the flag to stop them.
But Merilith is... Oh. Damn it.
Oh, this is coming down to, like, I think the flag's 2 rooms away, and all of Hydra is there trying to pick up the flag.
And I forgot to
right.
set the map up correctly. So I'm awesome.
Merilith's at the 10-yard room right now.
Yep.
We've got 2 more rooms to go.
They might be able to rescue her across if they if the Hydra isn't able to blind. And I don't know.
It's 1 more. Oh!
Azheri gets the flag. Okay, we got a game here.
Yeah, Merilith just walked into the goal line, so he just had 1 more room to go. So that was just really lucky, or well played. It seemed like Reklah, who was trying to get the flag originally, left the flag room and just started trying to keep everyone away. I saw him. Obviously, he's blinding
Azheri
Rush.
Get the flag. He's got more defenses. He's got the spirit he can summon to rescue himself. So I think that's a good decision on their part to let Azheri pick it up. And now Reklah is trying to get Grendel down. He knows that's a lot of damage that could come out potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And if they ignore him, he's just gonna walk all over them. And now Vyrastai and Azheri are hitting Shawn. It's interesting. Sorry, what?
Right. I was gonna say it's interesting how you could see what the strategy is based upon the small actions they do. Like they never tried to blind Grendel the entire time. Reklah only did it there because he needed to just keep him away for a few rounds while they picked up the flag. Because I think they were clearly seeing that he was the one playing all the interference.
Absolutely, because they know Merilith is across the map. You know, Kuromaru is either dead or across the map as well. And there goes Merilith. Looks like Hydra
should be a capper.
Where's the flag? Control this again.
Azheri's at the... Oh, he's actually got a long run to go. He's only at the red 20, and he has to take it to the blue flag room, so... He was fighting instead of running. Shoo. They're not letting this go. Shawn has picked up the flag. Doesn't seem like he's going to last long, so I think it's more of a suicide than anything else. And there he goes.
It looked dodgy there for a minute, but Hydra is going to take this.
Yeah.
But serious credit to Grendel because holy crap, has he done work this match? I'm very impressed with him.
Well.
You know, I wasn't sure about picking up a troll barb as the first draft. I think it was the first draft of the entire draft. That first round pick, I believe, was actually bought from another owner. So they paid another owner to get that first round draft to pick up Grendel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked out so far, you know. I'm not sure how well he's going to be able to do against stars, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But he's proved himself, I think, for sure.
I agree. It is unfortunate though. I think just because of some of the hard counters, I don't think they're going to make playoffs possibly. Though at the same time, Hydra might not make playoffs, even though they should. They just have been losing or disqualifying in the wrong matches. So my expectation of the top three teams right now is Brute, Stars, and Hydra. Again, Hydra being in a horribly losing record. I think Card Sharks are unfortunately they're struggling. But I was actually speaking with some guys about this the other day. I think that the Card Sharks came into this season worse off than all the other teams. I think a lot of people were putting that on Hydra. But Merilith was pretty much their only holdover. And Gerfing, we haven't even seen, who's the pirate. So I felt like only starting with a druid is not a good place to be. You're pretty much starting with, you know, the heavy support character. So it was a tough place for them to be in that draft. Especially because the draft pool was pretty small compared to previous drafts.
Yeah, it's I mean, we definitely didn't have the strongest draft ever, but there have proven to be some very valuable pickups. I mean, obviously Reklah is a huge pickup. Grendel has proven to be massive. Let's take a look. What were the other drafts?
I just went to that same page.
I think Bardock has done pretty well for himself so far. Atherin,
Sure.
You know, Human Crusader, not typically what you would think of as like being an ACFL beast, but that 3v3 match that was Quicksilver Galaglass, was that?
Mm-hmm.
Reklah and
I think that was it. Yep.
I haven't uploaded the video yet, but Reklah and I did a cast for that match, and Atherin did a crazy amount of work in that match. You know, turns out Hoof works really damn well against Blade Singers. Repo
Hmm.
doesn't seem to stop it very well.
Yeah. It was a weird
Charge,
game. I watched a good chunk of it, and it was quite interesting to see how. I mean, I thought it lasted a while. Someone was saying it was only 30 minutes, but
well, yeah, 30 minutes, but
um,
I think, the typical, like, the quick matches tend to last like 15 to 20, and then the longer ones are like 30, 35, Um,
mhm.
yeah, if you get to like a really long ones, if you're talking about, season 3, Gallo Glass matches where, or was it season 3, I think, Gallo Glass matches where, they had 2 bards and a priest, and the
Hmm.
matches literally lasted for like 2 hours.
There was a whole healing meta there that drove me insane. So
Yeah, that healing meta was crazy. We've moved away from that a little bit. That could come back just if the right classes and races get drafted again,
right.
which is interesting. The meta doesn't just shift based on what turns out to be good and effective. It also changes just based on what people can field and what gets recruited.
Exactly.
So that's an interesting way that the meta doesn't get too stale here, just because you lose and pick up new players and have to adapt to that. You don't get to
And that's
pick
one of
what
the
you
great
want.
things about DSL is that there's so many classes, and because it's not like other games where you have 10 different characters and you can create a new one whenever you want. Everyone only has 1 or 2 characters they could play, so you don't have a choice at anything. So the meta can't shift too fast because at the very least you have to have people make characters for it.
Yeah, and let me try and see something real quick. Let's see. Oh, I know why the map wasn't working, because I'm bad and I didn't uh, pull the latest XML file. I was still running the old script. Awesome.
Well, that was a fairly brute force match, so hopefully the lack of a map won't turn anyone off to it. So I didn't see a lot of running around, more just butting heads.
I'm trying to see if Reklah has time to join us for a couple minutes to talk about that. So if you'll give me just a moment. But that was a very exciting match.
Mhm.
It looked like Hydra had. Um, it
Clearly a
looked like,
misstep at the start.
yeah, I mean, it looked like they had control for a while, and then, Sharks just, when they got the advantage, they pressed it very hard, and they knew how to get the most out of that situation, and
Hmm.
they almost got it. They did a good job of keeping Hydra from getting the block capture, and they came within like seconds of getting that third capture. So they did an excellent. They had an excellent recovery there.
Agreed.
Um, and not just that, but again, I can't overstate how much work Grendel did in that.
Hmm.
That was ridiculous,
And he had a tough job being dispelled about 10 times that match.
for sure. I mean, it was helpful that he did have uh, two, I think, two curatives on his team, right? He had a priest and a druid, Merilith and Kuromaru. Um, so that is always helpful, and when you don't have to deal with like the more exotic maledicts.
Hmm.
Um, but it's hard work to stay alive when you've got all those spells coming at you. Keep from getting targeted too hard, and still dish out the damage that you need to deal.
Right.
Um, so he did a very good job, and the rest of the team obviously did as well. I'd say Shawn has what history does Shawn have? How long has he been around?
Oh, I could check real fast. I think it's been a couple of seasons.
Well, no, he was Shawn was recruited this season.
Was he
Um,
really?
yes, but
Hey, look at that.
so I think he did pretty well this match as well. If I had to have any criticism of the Sharks team tonight, I would say Kuromaru has some things to work on. I would say that was probably their weak link tonight. needs to focus more on making sure to get those holy flames, not just at the start of the match, but you need to, try and cycle them in throughout the course of the match to make sure you keep that debuff applied. So I think if they can get those minor issues sorted out, they're in a position now where they could possibly be the third spot in the playoffs. So
I agree entirely.
I think it's shaping up to be a decently competitive field for the number 3 spot. I still think Stars and Brutes have number 1 and 2 locked down pretty hard. But Galglass, Sharks, and Hydra all look like they could potentially take that third spot. So it's nice to see that it is shaping up to be a competitive season after what happened to be a fairly rough start for a couple of teams.
Mm-hmm. I think it's really interesting how this season's turning out because, I mean, just the rust from the 2 years itself makes it interesting. But I do agree the draft was still there were a lot of powerful players, and I think all of the teams, drafted, I would argue, the more commonly seen names, not necessarily the big names. I mean, obviously Reklah is a big name. Some of the other characters are from the last few years, but they clearly pick people who are consistently available. And I think that's something that some of these owners have been hit from in the past, where people just aren't showing up. So I think the draft really had the dedicated players that they see around on a regular basis outside of ACFL. So I thought that was a little bit different this draft than previous ones, where you had a much bigger pool, but a lot of people who weren't necessarily all that reliable to show up.
Yeah, names that you've never seen before, and you don't necessarily know if they're going to show up again.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big risk when you're drafting, because we've had a number of no-shows this season so far where teams couldn't field up full teams, and to some degree you could say that that's in part based on the we did reduce the team size, but I do still think that ended up being the right call, dropping the team size from 10 to 8, because I do think it reduces the number of bench players that never see a match.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing too. I mean, the Stars have always had that problem, especially with the 10-person teams. It's also our fault that we didn't get people enough practice in the arena, but sometimes it's just hard trying to figure out how to use the players you haven't used much thus far. So it sucks that some people don't get as much play time as others. So I agree. I also like the move to the smaller team size. A lot of the people thought it was weird for us in particular. They felt bad for us, being like, well, Stars always had such a deep roster. You guys probably don't like that it went to 8 people. But, we want to see everyone happy. And we don't like it when we have someone we haven't played all season. So,
all right. Reklah's only got a minute, but we're going to bring him into the call and see what he thought about the match. All right, are you there with us?
Yep, I'm here.
All right. It's a bit of a scary finish for you, I bet.
It was good. I think the main misstep that we made that match was we lost Aroc too early. He wasn't so that was just a misstep.
Yeah, we were talking about that. If you go down as mage without spending all your mana, that's a rough place to be in.
Yeah, we told him, I told him before the match, if you get below 900 health, then make sure and just call Assad, because we need to get to you. Because just losing that one person can change the match pretty quickly. Up until that point, I felt like we were practically destroying the team. Every single person was deep red at that point. And then it was kind of scary because we still had the advantage, and we were able to kill him off, but losing Aroc made it more of a toss.
Okay, I've got one really important question for you, okay? Can you show us on the doll where the mean troll touched you?
I think it touched Azheri more than it did me.
Because that was scary looking. Grendel managed to do some major work that round.
Well, he was able to do a lot of damage considering how much we casted on him. We had Vyrastai triple imbue everybody, and at the offset we were just pretty much taking his saves and putting them where we wanted in the match. but he definitely caused enough of a distraction.
It seemed like you had some coordination issues with the dispels and just getting the damage focused on him.
Well, mid-match, I noticed that he was fleeing and coming in and retargeting it a lot, so I just toggled auto assist, and I didn't hit the other team at all. I just let Vyrastai and Azheri take care of them while I just single focused them, and that seemed to work pretty well.
Smart play, definitely. But you also had I noticed there was one point towards the end of the match where you had a blind go off on him, and then you had like immediately a dispel, and then a weaken, and then another dispel.
To be honest, I think around that time I was running the flag, and I was casting blind just to get him off me for a second. Because if I could cast blind and he couldn't retarget, then I could run the flag. I don't know if somebody dispelled off that, but if they did, then that would have been a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing. That's a good point. Is blinding him to get you off of him. That was something Bodrum and I talked about. You did a good job at that point. Up until that point, you guys had mostly been focusing on dispelling him, and then
Well, we knew that as long as Kuromaru was in the arena, he could just cure it off. So if he was dead, that's when we started emphasizing the blinds and stuff, because otherwise, he's got 2 cures, so they can pretty much baby him up to that point.
Yeah, and then once Sharks were going for the 3rd capture, you went over to try and pick up the flag. You started going for the blinds on him because Kuromaru was dead. Merilith was across the map. You know that he's not going to get cured too easily.
Yep, that was the impetus for it. Shawn did reinforce him, though, and it was a distraction. So they blinded me because they knew I was going to cap the flag. And if Merilith got there, then I knew we were done. So I told the group, just whoever isn't blind, capture the flag, because at this point we win. Like, there's no way that they're going to come over from that deficit if we get a cap in somebody's hands. So I think Azheri capped it off that, and then we went to hit Merilith, and it went pretty smooth from there.
Now, do you realize how close Merilith was when you managed to pick up the flag?
I think he was at the 20 or the 30. He was close.
I think he was at the goal line.
He was right there. He had one more room.
When you picked up the flag, he was literally 1 room away.
All right, that was much closer than I thought.
It was down to the wire.
Yeah, see, the thing is, yeah, and that's the thing. We pretty much had the advantage from the start until about the middle, and then it got close all of a sudden. And they made the right choice capping for the 3rd time because that was their only chance. Like, I can tell you that every single person in that group was hurt. So their only chance was to just stack caps and go for the triple flag at that point.
And they almost pulled it off. I think that's to their credit. They managed to turn that around very well by getting, being on point with getting those flags across the map, and trying to distract you. Grendel was over there anticipating your capture, and he was there to try and stop you. It didn't work out.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. I would be more worried if he were on another class. I mean, Troll Barbarian does a lot of damage, and you see that in the logs, but at the same time, his weakness was something that we were able to exploit in our favor sufficiently to win, because the blinds were huge in keeping him off us, if just for a few seconds.
Yeah, at that point in the match, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have an
It seemed like he was the main player doing the interference when you guys were trying to cap it. I didn't see the other ones jumping in there as often. So
yeah, he was, which is ironic because he was targeted down the most out of the 4. So he did a really good job. All right, I am gonna hop off here and get to work. Yeah.
Wait, before you go, I have a quick mechanics question.
Sure.
So Grendel wasn't fasted. That's because priest can heal fasting?
Yeah, nourishment.
Got it. All right, good. I didn't know that.
I mean, it might have been worth a fast midway through, but I think blind was better there at that point.
Right. No, that was perfect. I was just curious. I knew
that's why they're fielding
the
priest.
Never knew with what, and that makes sense.
Yeah, they have no choice but to field Kuro if Grendel's in there, at least against me.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and good luck with your next match.
All right, no problem. Good night, guys.
All right. I think that about does it for tonight. Anything you want to say before we jump off?
No, just thank you for having me.
Hey man, thanks for being on. I'll try and bring you on for some more stars matches at least, if nothing else. You know,
Oh,
it's nice to have the perspective of somebody that was actually in the fights.
and I promise I could talk your ear off about all the stuff I'm thinking of during the match. I tend to be a yeller, so even my logs will just have me yelling at the whole team. So I have a full log of what all my decisions were.
All right. I know there's a couple that need to be. I know there's the Hydra stars. I want to have you two both on for. Honestly, I don't know if I want to have you on for the Brutes one. That might just be too much for me.
That was a tough one. Maybe not that one. The Hydra match was really, really good. I think that'd be a more interesting one.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, and have a good night, folks. We'll see you next time.